Hi guys, so I'm so sorry for getting so long to do this podcast, but I thought I wanted to do about a voice cast, podcast, whatever you want to call it, about black pirates, because we all hear about, all the pirates like Blackbeard, Bluebeard, Redbeard, Yellowbeard, all these color beards, and you don't really hear about black pirates. But there are very few notable black pirates, and I thought I want to take this opportunity, especially that it's Black History Month, and especially that what I'm doing for the last few months, talking about historical black people. I thought I would talk about black pirates. So before I kind of go into detail about any particular ones, I wanted to give you a bit of background into the golden age of piracy and I'm not going to say golden age, but the era of slavery. So the golden age of piracy occurred around between 1620 and 1720. And pirates are often seen as anarchists. They go out and plunder, they pillage, they exercise their freedom. So this, of course, this was about the same time that the slave trade was in its prime. And the slave trade was about mid-17th to up till the early 19th century. If you think about it, if you can imagine a graph of the world, an atlas of the world, a flat one in your mind. The slave trade goes from West Africa to the Caribbean and to the Americas. Most of these pirates also were around the same vicinity, not necessarily West Africa, but definitely down in the Caribbean and the Americas. So of course you'd think that these two groups would collide at some point, and they did. Pirates who captured slave ships, they kind of got a lot out of it. They got out of it gold, cargo, but they also acquired able-bodied men because, unfortunately, female slaves didn't really have much of a say in anything. They were the lowest of the low, even though black women, as we are, still not wrong, but it was a lot worse for them. They didn't have any much use for pirates, apart from maybe some things. But we ain't going to go into that. And, of course, on the flip side of that, the African male slaves got something out of it, because on pirate ships were a democracy. They were able to vote. They got a part of the booty. They were able to go and progress, which we're going to talk about, or we're going to talk about notable pirates. But again, if you think about what the experience was, being taken from West Africa, put on these ships like sardines, human cargo, tied up, shackled. Some of them died across during these crazy journeys across the Atlantic for weeks and months on end. They're usually being tied up with people that are dead. Need I go on? But you can imagine going from that sort of really disgusting experience to be able to be seen as an equal on a pirate ship where there's loot to be got, there's adventures to be had. Yeah, there's people to kill, and then sometimes they do get their revenge. And again, I'll talk about that later on. So you can imagine the benefits to African slaves to become pirates. So I'm going to talk about a few notable ones. So everyone knows, or most people know, about a really notable pirate called Black Caesar. Black Caesar was a Haitian revolutionary and a pirate. So he was a revolutionary before he was a pirate. And he was born in Haiti in about 1791 onto a slave family kept by a French plantation owner known as Arnaud. He was first a houseboy, and then as he got older, he would work in the lumberyard. He was mistreated by his supervisor, and he ended up killing the guy during the slave insurrection. He was part of the slave insurrection, which was led by Dutty Buchman and Toussaint Louverture, and he remained with the revolution until its independence from France in 1804, after which he went on to go try his hand at the sea. He captured his first ship in 1805, which was a Spanish ship, and he went on to attack small villages and lone vessels around Cuba and Bahamas, mainly from his base based out in southern Spanish Florida. And he went to adopt this the Black Caesar name, and he was actually quite a successful pirate during his time. And then he just eventually disappeared in 1930. But before I go on to his disappearance, he was known to be working with, work together with pirates such as Blackbeard and Sam Bellamy. In fact, he was part of a coup to burn down one of the Lieutenant Maynard's ships, who was part of the Royal Navy. But someone talked him out of it. However, he was still famous. After about 1829, 1830, no one kind of knew what happened to him. Some say that he may have fled from the area after President Andrew Jackson ordered the expedition against pirate activities in Florida after its purchase by the United States in 1821. Another version says that he was captured, taken to Key West and burned whilst tied to a tree. Bit gruesome, but unfortunately during that time, when black slaves were captured, they were either executed or they were sold back into slavery. However, another thing that a lot of people don't know is that he may have buried about between $2 and $6 million in many locations about Southwest Florida, including Pine Island, White Horse Key and Marco Island, Elliott Island and Sanibel. So in a few places, but none of it's been recovered. So if you do end up going to any of these places and finding some money, please make sure that you contribute at least half of it to me, because I told you about all this stuff. Anyway, again, none of it's been recovered, but he was just one of many black pirates out there. He's the most popularized, but there were so much more. So I'm going to just talk about a few of them. Now, one of them is a guy called, what was he called? Hendrik Quintal. Sorry, Hendrik Quintal. I lost my track of thought. He was a Dutch sailor of African origin. He joined Bellamy's crew at about that time, and he went on to do, he was doing all his great stuff with them. Unfortunately, there's not much about Quintal, but all we know, he was captured. Him and Bellamy's crew was all captured. But the only difference between him and majority of Bellamy's crew was that, along with another pirate, a Native American pirate called John Julian, they were both sold back into slavery. But they were supposed to be bad slaves, so we don't know what happens after them. Whether they, don't know whether they were sold back into slavery to somewhere else, or unfortunately hanged. Again, that is some of the fate of all of black pirates during that time. Another pirate who's really notable is called Diego Grillo. He was a man of African descent. He was born in Havana, and he took up the pirate trade in the 1630s, and he was very loved by his crew. In fact, he was elected the post of captain. He has a bit of an association, because he hated the Spanish, so he took every opportunity to burn down Spanish ships. So they think that his base was either in Tortuga or New Providence, which was later home to the Pirate Republic. And we don't know what happened to him after that. There's not really much information about him. But again, another one called Juan Andres. He was a mixed race pirate, leader of a pirate crew consisted of runaway slaves and Indians, and they plundered a lot of places along the Venezuelan coast. It went a bit quiet for about 2 years, and the authorities thought he died, but in fact, Andres and his crew, they just moved to another place in Carriacou whilst they were, just to kind of get rid of the heat, and then they started resuming their assaults again. There's another one again called Peter Cloyce, again, former slave, became a pirate in about 1679. He became friends with the pirate who actually captured his ship, called Edward Davis, and they went on to pirating around America and around South America and the Caribbean and the Pacific Coast. They don't know what happened to him through that, but all the information that we have is that he was arrested, but there were no records of when his execution, so we don't know. More than likely he was executed, but again, I think they just kind of didn't feel that it was because he was a black man that they felt that he had to give him the right to record his execution. I don't know, but I kind of wanted to sum it up. by something that was told, that was quoted by Stede Bonnet, who was a gentleman planter who went on to go and do piracy to get away from his nagging wife. And he summed up the piratical attitude when settling a dispute, when he was settling a dispute between one of his African crew members and the white recruit. Steve's judgment was that piracy was a race in itself. It trumped colour, nationality, and station at birth. A man who called himself a pirate could never be called a slave. So that gives you a bit of a summary in black piracy. So I didn't want to keep it too long, but I thought it'd be good to give you some insight. So I hope you enjoyed my Voice Sad podcast. I'm going to try again with another podcast next time, but we shall see. But for now, have a good one.